All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. Today we are going to be ending World War II. Okay, so this is going to be the last of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with your warm up. So here's this picture. The first question asks you to analyze it and tell me what's going on here. Okay, so break it down. What's happening here? The other question asks you from your analysis, um, what do you think this is happening here? What do have you ever seen this picture before? You know, the one question I do want to know is how many people do you see in this picture? Because when this picture first came out, there was a lot of controversy to it. You know, some people said they saw a certain number of people. Some say no, there's more people in it. So really look at it and tell me, what do you see? Okay, so pause the video, write your responses to the two questions. Okay, because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right, so June 15th, 1944, on this island called Saipan. It's a 14-mile island in which it has like different terrains, meaning there's like flat land, there's hills, there's mountains, there's like beach, desert, and then there's desert, and then there's like jungle. So the territory is very different. Now on that island there are 30,000 Japanese troops there. Now for 2 days the United States bombed them from battleships surrounding Saipan, air, planes going by and dropping off bombs, and then that's when the U.S. sent troops in. It took about a month of fighting before the U.S. gained Saipan. Um, in that fighting, we lost 16,525 soldiers. They were reported as killed or missing. Okay, but the Japanese, remember, there was 30,000 people stationed there, and almost 30,000 of them were dead. Okay. Now, one of the things too, what happened is, um, there were 4,000 Japanese civilians who were on that island. Now, the thing is, they were scared, but they were also told by their government and the soldiers that if they surrendered, the U.S. soldiers were going to torture them, rape them, do things to their children, stuff like that. And that basically there's no honor in surrendering, but there is honor in basically fighting or killing yourself. So many of them committed suicide. There's a uh, like kind of like a mountaintop area called Marpy Point, and people jumped to their death. There's like rocks and ocean, water there, but a lot of people holding their babies would jump off and smack right into the rocks and commit suicide. You know, even if you made it to the water, there's still jagged rocks on the bottom. The water was not that deep. So yeah, it was pretty bad. And the thing is, there was a lot of American soldiers who saw these people jump to their death, and it just scarred them. They like some guys were saying in the documentary video I watched some years ago that when they close their eyes, they can still see the people jumping, and it's just like it just burned in their image. Why would people do that? How could they believe, you know, that the lies, things like that. Now, as the soldiers are going up the hill, the soldiers are hearing gunshots. So they're like, what's going on here? They know they're not taking the fire, so they go up, they march up quicker, and they basically find out that the Japanese people um, were being killed. Those who would not jump, those who would not commit suicide, were being killed by the Japanese soldiers. So either you commit suicide and kill yourself, or you were killed by your own soldiers. Okay. Now, February 19th, 1945, the Battle of Iwo Jima, one of the most important battles in the Pacific during World War II. So that picture you see at the bottom, that is Iwo Jima. 72 days that place is bombed by the US. Battleships all around just launching, you know, planes flying above, just dropping bombs and things like that. After 72 days, the United States Marines land on the beaches and proceed to take the island. And this is where the Japanese pop out. Now, a lot of Americans are like, wait, what's going on here? Thing is, if you see in that picture, there's a mountain. A lot of these Japanese were in the caves of the mountain, they were just waiting inside. Some of them were on the island, but they had like underground trenches and things like that. So, they're just waiting for the bombs to stop. So they started fighting. It lasted for about a month. 6,820 men, Americans, were killed. Okay. And during this battle of Iwo Jima, there was a lot of stories of heroism. While bullets are flying, bombs are going off, soldiers are jumping the line and grabbing their fallen comrades and taking them to safety, things like that. Some of them feel like, hey, we're about to be pinned. They fight back, climbing out of their foxholes and trenches and some of that, and going against the Japanese. In total, 27 men were awarded the Medal of Honor from just this battle. That's quite a bit. Okay. And these medals of honor, they don't just give it just because you have a pretty smile. No, you have to earn it. And these guys earned it. And it's from this event that the warm up picture, well, again, one of the most iconic pictures in U.S. history, is taken. So here's your first question. Do you think the term hero is overused by people? What do you think? Yes, no, why? The second half of the question is this: like, it's supposed to be who are your top three type of hero people? What people should be considered heroes. Soldiers, firemen, policemen, teachers, nurses, you know, um, people who volunteer. You know, who do you say would you say is heroes? Somebody who jumps into sacrifices their life to save others. You know, who would you consider a hero? Okay, so tell me your top three. Okay, now, like I told people in class, if you choose a certain group and you're like, oh well, this other group, yeah, I think they're heroes, but I don't know. It's no disrespect. You're not showing any disrespect. I just want to know who would you put in your top three. That's it. Okay. So think about it. Write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. So April 12th, 1945, President FDR dies. Now remember, he was elected in 1932, so for about 13 years, this guy is the only president some people have known their whole life, and they're just like devastated, and they're just like, who's going to be the president now? And it's like, well, under the Constitution, it's the vice president, which is Harry S. Truman. Now, Truman is basically told, here's your desk, here's your chair, here's your briefing for today. Oh, and here's the information on the atomic bomb. And he's like, what? Excuse me? And they're like, yeah, we've been working on this for like 2 years, and it's ready to go. And here's all the information on it. And he's like, how come I never heard about this? And they're like, well, sir, we really kept it a tight knit thing, and only certain people knew about this. And he's like, I'm the vice president. How did I not know about this? 2 years, So he was just like really just surprised as hell. And then they told him, here's the information on it. And they basically showed him a video too of the destructional power of the atomic bomb. And he's just like, wow, we have one of these, and they're like, sir, we have two. One is made of uranium called Little Boy, and the other one made of plutonium called Fat Man. Okay. Now, knowing this and knowing how top secret it is, at the Potsdam Conference on July 26, 1945, the U.S. gives an ultimatum to Japan. Now, if you don't know what the term ultimatum means, that's okay. Um, Ultimatum basically means you're given a choice. Now, typically it's between two things, one or the other. Some people might say, like, you hear the jokes like the wife says, it's either me or the dog, you know, type of thing. So it's typically between two things. So they told him, um, the only surrender we'll take is the unconditional surrender, which means you have to change your government to a democratic one, or you're going to face prompt and utter destruction. Now, he knows what destruction he's talking about, but Japan, France, England, they all think he's talking about just like bombing the hell out of Japan with the regular bombs that they have. They had no idea about the atomic bomb. So Japan's like, oh, we're scared of your bombs, ooh. But that same day, the USS Indianapolis takes those last key components for the atomic bomb to Tinian, which is an island. And this is where they're going to put the last components of the bomb together so that they can use it. Okay. When USS Indianapolis leaves Tinian, they're supposed to. Now remember, here's the thing with the USS Indianapolis. Their mission is top secret. Nobody knew what the cargo they carried was part of the atomic bomb. All they knew was top secret. Not even the captain knew what they were taking. They were just told, take it to this, and then once you drop it off, go to this other place. But again, their mission is top secret. So on July 30th, their ship is sunk by a Japanese submarine. Okay, 1,196 men go into the water. The ship sinks in about 11, 12 minutes. Okay, now they are in the middle of the ocean. Nobody knows where they're at. Nobody knows that they're gone. On top of that, they have no water, no food, and they're surrounded by sharks. Yeah, you heard me right. They're surrounded by sharks in the middle of the ocean. Nobody knows that they're gone, and they have no food and water. They do have those life preservers, you know, and there are some rafts that they were able um, to use. But other than that, that's all they got. So here's my question to you. How would you react if you were stuck in the middle of the ocean? Again, nobody knows that you guys left. Um, your your ship, you guys couldn't send an SOS, no food, no fresh water, no shade, because again, you're in the middle of the ocean and you're surrounded by sharks. And again, you don't know when you might be rescued, if rescued at all. How would you react? Would you try to plan something? Would you, as one student said, I'd pee my pants. Well, you're in the right place because you can pee yourself all you want in the middle of the ocean. you know. So, how would you react? What would be going through your mind? Okay. So, pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right. So, July 31st, Japan rejects the Potsdam proposal. They're like, ooh, we're so scared of your bombs. Bring it on. All right. Now, on August 2nd, um, a basically it's just a plane in the Navy plane just flying by. They spot these people in the water, so they give a report saying, "Hey, did we sink any Japanese ships around here? No. Is any of our ships missing? They're like, no. They're like, well, there's some people in the water. We should send somebody out here, and they're surrounded by sharks. So they sent the boat out and they realized, hey, these are our guys. Now, of the 1,196 that actually went into the water, um, 880 of them died. Either they were eaten by sharks, they were dehydrated, they drowned, they died of saltwater poisoning. Because again, remember, you can't drink salt water. Even though it's water, your body will reject it, and you can get really sick from it if you keep drinking it and drinking it and drinking it. So that's what happened too. Um, so of all those people, only 321 were actually pulled out of the water. Okay. Now let me show you something in this picture. So there's somebody being rescued here, but if you look right where the camera thing was, there's a shark right there. And if you look, there's like a string right there. That's the little rope thing that they're pulling the people in. And there's a shark right in the middle of the way. It's just like, okay, yes, you know. So yeah, it was a real thing that was just amazing story. It's like, wow, these guys survived. August 6th, the Enola Gay, which is the name of the plane that dropped the first atomic bomb. It flies over Hiroshima, and about 1,900 feet above Hiroshima, the bomb detonates. Now, a student asked me in class, why didn't they just let the bomb hit the ground and detonate? Because if it hit the ground and detonate, it's just going to grow like that, right? But if it goes in the air, it's going to expand bigger. It's going to have a more area to cause damage. And that's what it did. It gave an area of 5 miles, completely destroyed it. 40,000 men, women, and children were basically wiped out and killed. Some were even vaporized, which we're going to show you in the next slide, pictures of that. Now, for the next couple days, more and more people died. About 100,000 more people died from uh, radiation poisoning and radiation burns. Because again, people didn't know what this atomic bomb was. They didn't know anything about it. They never seen it. The world is introduced to the atomic bomb, the atomic age, with the dropping of a little boy. Okay. Now here's something too. What happened? A lot of people, when the war ended, they went back to Hiroshima, started planting in the ground, drinking the water, stuff like that, and yet they had no idea that in the soil, in the water, was radiation. So for the next 5 years, a lot of people died from drinking the water that had the radiation in it. They ate the food that came from the ground that had radiation in it. Um, Women, a lot of women had miscarriages, and if they were able to have the baby all the way through, the babies were born blind. They were born deformed. A limb, leg, whatever was not fully formed all the way. Their internal organs were not fully developed. And a lot of them died at a young age. So yeah, the effects of it lasted for years. Still, with the bombing of Hiroshima, Japan did not surrender. They're like, okay, wow, that destroyed a lot of people and destroyed a whole big area, but we will not surrender. Okay. The pilot, his name is Captain Robert Lewis. This guy, when he was flying his plane, he said that when the bomb detonated, he could taste like lead in his mouth. You know, and if you just in case you're wondering, that's like if you ever licked the pencil at the end of it, the lead part, that's what it would taste like. He's like, I could taste that in the air. And when he looked back and he saw the bright light and the fire and the explosion, he wrote in his log, the first thing that went through his mind was, he said, my God, what have we done? Because again, him, other pilots, people in the Enola Gay, the other people, had no idea what this bomb could do. They just thought it was just ordinary bomb, just that's it. And whereas this one, just blew up in the sky, huge, massive, blinding light and just fire, you know. So, yeah. So August 9th, the second atomic bomb, Fat Man, is dropped on Nagasaki. Again, 40,000 instantly killed, vaporized. So if you look at some of these pictures, let me move my video thing up a little bit. All right, so you can see the one that's right below this little video thing. There's somebody sitting right there. That's the last image of that person. Now, when something is vaporized, basically if you've seen the movie Endgame, or I'm sorry, Infinity War, when like Thanos like snapped his finger, like people became dust and stuff like that. Basically that, except the dust is not dust, it's ash, and the ash is just basically go away. So what you see there on that picture on the ground, like a person with a little cane, that's the last image of those people, and their bodies are gone. They're vaporized, completely away. Like, see, there's a person next to a ladder. The ladder and that person are gone. Same thing with that bicycle right there. You see the outline of it? It's gone. Okay. Uh, Once Nagasaki is bombed, the Japanese Direction of War Council meets. There's 6 people in this, and 3 of them are like, okay, how many bombs does the United States have? We thought they just had one. Man, they have 2. They could have more. What if they have 10? They could easily destroy this whole island without wasting one of their soldiers, you know. And they're like, we need to like surrender. The other 3 are like, no, no, there's no surrendering. No, we can't do that. No, they probably, that's probably all the bombs they have, and then you know they're just trying to scare us, with this. That's all they have. We should keep fighting to the end. So they basically tell Emperor Hirohito, we're split. We can't make a decision. Ultimately, it's up to you. What do you think? Hirohito basically goes, yeah, we don't know how many they have. A lot of us thought they only had one, but apparently they have more. Um, so he does say we should surrender, but we want conditions like terms and things like that. Like I said in class, it'd be like if you're beating someone down, you're constantly beating them, beating them, beating them, and then they say, okay, let's call this a draw. Like, heck no. You're gonna keep beating them, you know. So that's what happens. They tell Japan, no, no conditions. Ultimate surrender, unconditional surrender, or we're gonna keep coming at you. So 4 days later, Japan accepts the unconditional surrender. Uh, 2 weeks later, the Japanese are occupied with Allied forces. The Americans send their troops in there, making sure that the soldiers are disarmed, that the territories that the Japanese control are no longer, in their control anymore. They look at their paperwork, they grab all that stuff to make sure, verify that, hey, that they don't have any other secret little bases, and they're not trying to plan anything, you know. So September 2nd, the Japanese signed the ceremonial surrender terms aboard the USS Missouri. Now, a student asked me in class, what does USS stand for? It stands for United States Ship. Okay, that's it. There's no fancy thing to it. It's just United States Ship, Missouri. Once it's signed, the war is officially over. Here's a little thing though, what they find out. There was a plan by Japan that if the United States did do an invasion of Japan, Japan was going to get their 500,000 soldiers left, have them teach and train the 6 million civilians who live on Japan. They're going to teach them how to fight um, from with guns, with bamboo sticks, teach them how to fight, close combat type of stuff. And they were willing to fight to the end to keep their keep their country. Again, the Japanese people are extremely tough people. So this gives you a good idea of their mentality. That hey, we'll fight to the end. Okay. Now for your exit ticket question. First one says, why do you think Japan didn't surrender after the first atomic bomb dropping? Why did they just kept fighting him? You know, like, oh, come on, that's it. Yeah, yeah, ooh, it's a big bomb. We'll grant you that. It did really destructive, but we're not going to surrender. Why do you think they didn't? The second one is the one that a lot of students seem to be going with in class, which is, do you think the U.S. did the right thing with dropping the atomic bombs? Some people say yes, some people say no. Some people say yes, it's revenge for what they did to Pearl Harbor. Some people go no. You know, when they attacked Pearl Harbor, you know they killed like only like 1,000 people, 2,000 people max. We killed like 80,000 people. You know, and they just going back and forth about did we do the right thing? Was our dropping the bombs justified? You tell me what you think. Okay. So once you answer one of these two questions, you are done with this lesson. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. Hopefully you learned something new. So you guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later, okay?